After I got pregnant, my husband Julian spared no expense to buy me a diamond necklace, and Ethan also gave me a mansion. Grace, the baby in your belly is a treasure to the Taylor family. I'll give you the best. With here, no one will ever let you suffer. But then I overheard them video chatting with their arch rival in the Julian, you and Ethan are so generous. Grace is completely spoiled by you too. Julian said softly, the yacht you wanted is ready. I'll go with you tomorrow. Ethan also tried to reassure her, if we don't pacify Grace, how can we bring you back to the estate? Tiffany, on the other end of the video call, smiled sweetly. My heart, however, was chilled to the core. I stroked my lower abdomen and turned to leave. Since they were putting on an act, I would play along. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. I pushed the door open, and before they could end the video call, Tiffany's voice came through, Ethan. Who is your Ethan? Tiffany, after a few years abroad, you've lost your mind. My voice was abrupt and cold. Ethan quickly ended the video call and stood up, looking at me with clear displeasure. Grace, why didn't you knock before coming in? This is my home. You two are the ones who are lying to me. I shouted furiously at them, my voice full of emotion, then clutched my stomach and fell to the floor in pain. Julian panicked and rushed to embrace me. Grace! He walked unsteadily, carrying me to the hospital, running 3 red lights along the way. At hospital, the doctor said my emotional distress required me to stay for observation. I held his hand tightly. Julian, if your heart is with her, I can leave. Don't talk nonsense. I won't go back on my word. It's just that Grace, she has learned her lesson. Ethan also tried to persuade me from the bedside. Grace, she lived in the Taylor family for 20 years, and now she's all alone and vulnerable overseas. She's learned her lesson after 3 years, just let her come back. Don't worry, she won't overshadow you. I lay in bed, clenching my hands into fists. Learned her lesson? Whether she's wrong or not, I'm the victim, and I haven't even spoken. How dare she? Enough, Grace. Ethan cut me off. Don't go too far. Tiffany lived in the Taylor family for 20 years. If you hadn't appeared, she would have married Julian long ago. I looked at Julian. Is that what you think too? Julian didn't speak, but his silence gave me the answer. I'm tired. Both of you, get out. If comes back, I'll never give up. Ethan was furious and was about to reprimand me, but Julian stopped him and forcibly led him out. Outside the door, Ethan was fuming. She's so petty. It's been 3 years. Alright, keep your voice down. The estate has been transferred to Tiffany, and no one can make her leave. My heart sank. The estate, it was the Taylor family's old home, left by my parents. Ethan just transferred it to her. She was the usurper. Tiffany and I were switched at birth. When I returned to the Taylor family, I was 16 and had just started high school. Scrawny and suntanned, covered in scars, I arrived at the Taylor family on Tiffany's birthday. She wore a designer gown, looking like a princess, high and mighty. Seeing me, she took my hand and cried, saying she was sorry for taking my place and that from then on, she would treat me well, even offering to switch back. My parents didn't agree, and Ethan refused. So, she stayed and even took me to change my clothes. I truly thought she felt sorry for me. But I, scrawny and suntanned, wore her ill-fitting off-the-shoulder dress, stepping on the hem and almost falling, making a spectacle of myself. Tiffany pulled me aside and said, Grace, even if we were switched at birth, you're only fit to kneel before me. You'll always only get my leftovers. She was right, everything I got was leftover. But now, I could choose to want nothing. And even throw away the leftovers. That night, Julian never came back, which gave me an opportunity. The next morning, I went to the doctor and requested an abortion. She was a little surprised. Ms. Grace, your baby is very healthy and developing well. Why do you want surgery? The baby's father doesn't like me. His first love is back, and I don't want my child to be born into such a family. The doctor looked at me sympathetically and scheduled the surgery for tomorrow morning. As I came out, I looked up and saw Julian protecting Tiffany, their behavior intimate. Tiffany complained playfully, I told you, it's just cramps. Still, it's better to get it checked out. Julian had a gentle expression. This same tenderness had been shown to me after we married. But how can one's heart be divided in two? I stared at them steadily until Julian looked up, met my gaze, and froze. Then he explained, Tiffany isn't feeling well, so I'm here with her. Tiffany saw me and curled her lips into a smirk. Grace, I'm back. She came forward and tightly grabbed my hand. I'm sorry, I didn't react quickly yesterday. I was planning to come see you this morning. I heard you're pregnant, but then I suddenly had stomach pain. But I'm fine now. Julian was worried and insisted I see a doctor. Her gaze lingered on my lower abdomen, and she lowered her voice, so what if you're pregnant? It only matters if you can actually give birth to it. Upon hearing that, I shoved her aside. The next second, I was thrown back by a powerful force. A sharp pain in my lower abdomen instantly radiated throughout my body. A warm flow gushed out of me. Julian's piercing gaze fixed on me. Grace, I thought you had thought things through last night. It's been 3 years, and I married you, how could you still? He didn't finish, because my gaze was so calm, he was speechless. Julian, my stomach. Julian, I'm hurting again. Suddenly, Tiffany clutched her stomach and cried out in pain. Julian Quickle. Why picked her up, dropping me a dismissive, I'll deal with you later. He left without looking back, and Tiffany, in his arms, smirked triumphantly at me. I was beyond words, a pool of crimson beneath me. It was a passing doctor who saw me and recognized me. Miss Grace, you. It seems the surgery can happen today. Even without medical knowledge, I knew with so much blood, this baby was lost. I was wheeled into the operating room by medical staff. I lost the baby. Fortunately, there was no major hemorrhage, and when I came out, my stomach was flat. The doctor said the baby would have started to kick in another half a month. I carefully preserved the baby's remains and put them in a box along with the divorce papers. I had intended to show Julian myself, but he didn't come at all. Tiffany, however, sent me a message. It was a picture of Julian leaning by the bed, one hand resting on her, both of them embracing, kissing passionately. Anyone who didn't know would think they were husband and wife. No wonder Julian didn't have time to come. When I was discharged from the hospital, Julian finally appeared. I wore a loose coat and stood at the entrance, holding the box, watching him lean against the car. Seeing me, Julian sighed and walked over. Let's go home. What's that? Nothing. I opened the car door. There was a new lipstick in the passenger seat, along with rhinestone stickers. Even the steering wheel was covered in diamonds. Seeing these, my stomach churned. I immediately sat in the back. Julian probably saw it too, but he softly explained, she's just immature after coming back. If you don't like it, I'll have someone remove them. No need. Just leave them. I averted my gaze, looking out the window, saying nothing. It wasn't until we got out of the car and I saw Tiffany painting her nails in the living room that I couldn't hold back anymore. What's going on? Julian, why is she here? Upon hearing me, before Julian could speak, Ethan appeared. The hotel isn't safe, and the estate is being renovated, so I let her stay here. Grace, we're all family, don't be so petty. 3 Julian also said, it's only for a few days. You just got back, so go upstairs and rest. Tiffany isn't holding that incident against you, so don't go too far. Meeting's provocative gaze, I just sneered, whatever. Grace, are you unhappy I'm staying here? No, I should just leave. As I was halfway up the stairs, Tiffany started putting on an act again. Ethan said from behind me, Grace, what's with your attitude? I already said, what's past is past. Why are you being sarcastic? Julian also frowned deeply. She's forgiven you for pushing her that day, so don't be so difficult. Let bygones be bygones, we need to move forward. I couldn't help but scoff, otherwise, what? Should I bow down to her? Yes, I pushed her that day, and it was because she cursed my unborn child, but you pushed me too. Since I left the hospital until now, have you asked me how I'm doing, or how the baby is? Julian was speechless. I sneered, it's too late to ask now. You even gave her the estate, why don't you take her back to formally acknowledge her place in the family instead of having her in my house? Ethan was furious. Grace, look at you. Do you even look like the eldest daughter of the Taylor family anymore? I am not the eldest daughter of the Taylor family. My last name is Smith. My words made both their faces turn pale. They probably realized something and fell silent. After I went upstairs, Julian followed and embraced me from behind. I'm sorry, wife. I just wanted you two to bury the hatchet. I didn't mean it. I took a deep breath. Julian, she and I are not the kind of people who can be friends. You know, 3 years ago, she hired someone to hit me. It was all a misunderstanding. The police have already closed the case. Grace, why do you always think the worst of her? He released me and rubbed his temples. Being switched at birth isn't her FA. She's just a child. You two can get along. Grace, dwelling on the past is pointless. You get some good rest. I'll spend more time with you during this period. I pushed him away. No need. Get out. Grace, think carefully. Don't make things difficult for everyone. Get out. I pushed him out fiercely, placed the box on the bedside table, and started packing my luggage. I didn't want to stay in this house for another day. 3 years ago, when I returned to the Taylor family, Tiffany began to frame me in various ways. To stay, she would stop at nothing, and Ethan also protected her. But my parents were still fair. They cut off her allowance and made her move to an apartment. Tiffany completely panicked and hired someone to run me over. That time, I was in a coma for 7 days. When I finally woke up to identify her, I was told it was just an accident, and all evidence was destroyed, but was still sent abroad by my parents. Now that she was back, it was just when my parents were not in the country. She was truly lucky, with Julian and Ethan jointly protecting her. As soon as I finished packing, I dragged my luggage out and saw Tiffany, wearing Julian's shirt, bare-legged, heading to the next room. Soon, Julian's muffled groan came from inside. "Get out. Julian, if it weren't for her, I would be the one married to you right now. You clearly liked me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought me back. On our wedding anniversary, you lied to her about having company business, but you were actually at the airport to see me. Julian, don't lie to me anymore. You still have feelings for me." She hugged Julian, and through the crack in the door, she looked at me with a defiant gaze. My heart sank. That day was supposed to be our wedding anniversary. I had prepared for a long time, but Julian said he had to work late. He came back after midnight, smelling of perfume, and explained it was from a client. I believed him. It turned out they had met that day. Embarrassing sounds came from the room. Clenching my hands, I turned and left, tears streaming down my cheeks, never looking back. I wanted nothing more to do with this house or Julian. For walking out of the mansion, I sent a message to my parents, and they called me back almost immediately. "Grace, have you made up your mind?" "I have. I don't want any more involvement with them. I want to go abroad and continue my studies." My parents quickly arranged a flight for me. A dozen hours later, the plane landed. My parents had arranged a school for me and even assigned me bodyguards. When my mom saw me, she rushed over from afar and gave me a big hug. "My dear, I'm glad you made your decision. These past years, I was too indulgent with Tiffany, and we know you suffered. We're truly sorry. Here are the company's shares and this money. Take them. In the future, you can keep them in check or deal with them however you like." I looked at my parents, tears streaming down my face. It wasn't that they didn't love me, they were just too busy. Affection in an elite family was always scarce, let alone me not growing up by their side. I was already content with what they gave me. I nodded repeatedly. "I've already given Julian the divorce papers. I hope you can help me dissolve this marriage when you return. As for Ethan, as long as he didn't trouble me again, I could pretend I knew nothing." Over the years, I gave up my studies to marry Julian, which made Ethan believe I was just someone married off, so he didn't take me seriously at all. His apparent kindness to me was actually all to provide Tiffany's dowry, but I was never a submissive person. When I grew up in the Smith family, facing their sarcasm and ridicule and various forms of abuse, I responded by throwing a fit, even going to the media, schools, teachers, and the police, carving out a path for myself from their clutches. It was also that one day I could completely get away. After learning they weren't my biological parents. I didn't change my surname because I wanted to remember everything I suffered in their home at all times. These hardships should have been Tiffany's to bear, but she didn't. She enjoyed my family's resources without effort, yet she constantly targeted me. She would pay for all of it. As for the transfer of the estate, my parents were furious when they found out. After settling me in, they rushed back immediately. Whatever fate awaited Tiffany, it no longer concerned me. Julian pushed Tiffany away at the last moment. For some reason, a wave of irritation surged within him. Even though the woman before him was still alluringly charming, his mind kept picturing Grace's plain face and her calm and indifferent eyes. In that instant, he shoved Tiffany away. "Julian, what's wrong?" "No, we can't do this." Tiffany clung to him. "Why not? How am I inferior to Grace? You even gave up your wedding anniversary for her, which means you have feelings for me. She's pregnant, and you can still resist?" Tiffany wrapped her arms around his, but Julian fiercely shoved her away. "Enough. I'm married. This isn't appropriate for us. You need to calm down." Julian panicked and fled into the bathroom. By the time he had completely calmed down, no one was outside anymore. He let out a long breath and instinctively went to the master bedroom door. "Grace, are you asleep?" "I'm sorry. It's my fault. It won't happen again. I'll make Tiffany move out. Don't worry, you and the baby will always come first." He leaned against the doorframe. There was no response from inside. Julian couldn't help but sigh, get some good rest. He resisted the agitation in his heart and ultimately didn't go in. If he had gone in then, he would have found no one there at all. 5. It wasn't until the next morning, when Julian sat in the living room and saw the empty seat across from him, that he couldn't help but frown. Where's my wife? She hasn't come down yet. We knocked this morning, but there was no response. The housekeeper's words magnified his unease exponentially. He immediately got up and rushed to the bedroom. When he opened it, he found it empty, with no sign of the bed having been slept in. Julian instantly panicked. He called her, found he was blocked, and when he tried another number, her phone had been disconnected. He was terrified. Grace, where could Grace have gone? He looked around and finally spotted the box on the bedside table. He remembered now, Grace had been holding it ever since she returned from the hospital. With trembling hands, he opened the box. After seeing what was inside, he stumbled back 2 steps in fright, then his eyes welled up. When came out, yawning, she saw the scene and froze, then screamed in fright. Julian, what is this? Julian clutched his chest, feeling a pain so intense he couldn't breathe. After a long while, he finally said, "This was my child." "Your child?" Tiffany's lips immediately curled into a smirk, then she quickly added, "Grace is truly heartless. How dare she abort your child?" "Julian, don't worry. If she doesn't want to have your baby, I will." She stepped forward to hug Julian. Julian looked at the date on the surgery report and suddenly remembered that day, he had pushed Grace down with his own hands. He suddenly shoved Tiffany away and slapped himself. It was him, he had personally killed his own child. Julian then turned to Tiffany. "Grace said that day you cursed her, saying she couldn't have children, which is why she pushed you. Is that true?" Grace wouldn't lie. "Tiffany, tell me. Is it true?" Tiffany's eyes darted away, looking flustered. "Julian, you don't believe me. How can I believe you? 3 years ago, the day of the car accident, you came begging me, and I was too foolish." Tiffany was about to explain when Julian stood up and called the bodyguards. "Throw her out. And also, find her, find Grace." This surveillance showed that Grace had left with her luggage last night. She leaked out without looking back, seemingly very calm and utterly disappointed. When he saw the footage, Julian completely broke down. Learning of Grace's departure, Ethan's first reaction was that she was being dramatic. Tiffany just came back, and now she wants to leave? She's just being dramatic. Julian, you're too soft-hearted. Grace has a bad temper, she's your sister, Ethan. She's gone, her phone number is disconnected, and even the baby is gone. Julian's words startled Ethan. "What did you say? The baby is gone, what do you mean?" "It's my fault, my mistake. Help me, quickly help me find her." Hanging up the phone, Ethan hadn't had time to process it when he saw several luxury cars parked outside the door. His parents were back. "Dad, Mom, why are you back early?" No sooner had he spoken than his own mother slapped him senseless. "How dare you transfer the estate to that wretch?" Ethan was stunned. "Dad, Mom, she's also part of the Taylor family." "She is not. She stirs up chaos and turmoil as soon as she returns, and you even gave her the Taylor family's old home." "Ethan, do you think I'm dead? It's your place to decide about the estate." Another slap landed on his face. Ethan's face was red and swollen as he endured his parents' fury. Tiffany came from somewhere and, seeing this, immediately rushed over. "Dad, Mom, how can you hit him?" 6. Please call me Mrs. Elizabeth. "Tiffany, 3 years ago I told you to get out, and you dared to come back. This time, you won't be leaving." Tiffany's smile hadn't even fully formed before it was cut short. "The driver in the car accident 3 years ago was your distant relative, David's cousin. You begged Julian to destroy the dashcam footage, thinking that I wouldn't be able to do anything, right? Secrets have a way of coming out. There was more to the story behind the car accident back then. I clearly remembered the driver talking to Tiffany, but after I woke up, all the evidence had been completely destroyed. No matter what I said, they wouldn't believe me. Julian held my hand by my bedside back then, promising me that he would marry me regardless of my injuries. After we got married, I never gave up investigating the truth. It wasn't until Tiffany returned that the broken clues finally reconnected. Before returning, I gave all the evidence I had collected to my parents. I asked my parents to investigate again, to see if, with careful attention, they could find any clues. Upon hearing this now, Ethan was stunned. Tiffany was terrified. "No, it's not, Mom." She was shoved away fiercely. "Don't call me Mom. I raised you for 20 years, but I couldn't completely eradicate those bad qualities from you. Because of you, my own daughter suffered." Ethan, we can't trust the company to an idiot like you. You step down and take a break. Ethan broke down. My parents told me the outcome when I had already been at school for 3 months. Every day, I went to and from classes, made new friends, and participated in various activities. I had wanted to live like this forever, but the peace was eventually shattered. Julian and Ethan showed up at my door. Seeing the bodyguards around me, Julian's eyes were bloodshot. Grace. He stepped forward, about to touch me, but was blocked by my bodyguard. Julian froze. Who is he? Grace, how can you be with someone else? We're divorced. Why can't I be with someone else? Not to mention, you're the culprit behind my miscarriage. How could I possibly wait for you? Julian, I don't want to see you. My words completely broke Julian. No, I haven't signed the divorce papers. We're still married. Come back with me, Grace, I'll make it up to you. How will you make it up to me? Will you bring back the child I lost? Or will you promise never to see Tiffany again for the rest of your life? My 3 years with you were built on your deception. You were an accomplice. I turned to leave, and Julian quickly followed. Tiffany has been publicly disowned by the Taylor family, and there's no longer any connection. I also submitted evidence and sent her to prison. She was sentenced to 7 years, and her life is ruined. And your brother has also been expelled from the Taylor family, made to step down. The company will now be entirely managed by you. Come back with me, Grace, can we start over? As he moved closer, a bodyguard seized his wrist and pushed him away forcefully. Miss Smith doesn't wish to see you. Please stay away. And although you haven't processed the divorce certificate yet, you didn't actually register your marriage back then. The bodyguard's words instantly drained the color from his face. He remembered. At that time, we only had a wedding, but never registered the marriage. Back then, Tiffany's former friends even mocked me, saying I was a country bumpkin and even if I married Julian, I wouldn't fit into their circle. Some even ridiculed me at the wedding itself, for which he harshly reprimanded them, but those families suffered no real consequences and remained active. And I was exposed, my true background as an adopted child revealed on my wedding day. 7. I still remember, at the wedding, the large screen showed footage of me throwing a fit. I was seen cursing at my adoptive parents, even calling the police to confront them, crying hysterically. Guests below whispered among themselves, all looking at me. In that moment, I wanted to dig a hole and disappear. Julian's face was also extremely grim. Just as I held his hand, wanting to explain, he ordered the large screen turned off and announced the wedding would continue. But he never listened to my explanation again. At that moment, I knew that in Julian's heart, I was ultimately not presentable. Yet, later Julian personally intervened, kicking all those people out and even suing the culprits who disrupted the wedding. I let out a long breath, thinking I was unique in his heart. But it was only later that I realized he just didn't want Tiffany to become a target, because those people were all Tiffany's friends. After the wedding, the plan to register our marriage was put on hold, indefinitely extended. At this moment, Julian probably realized something, but he said nothing and followed us back. When he saw me and a bodyguard sharing a room, Julian became agitated again. He rushed to the door and shouted, Grace, Grace, how could you? We even had a child together, and you're with him so quickly. What am I to you? I couldn't stand it anymore and had the bodyguard rush out and beat him up. Do you think I'm like you, Julian? You truly disgust me. Where were you the night I miscarried? You were having an affair with Tiffany. The day I was discharged from the hospital, you and Tiffany were intimately involved in the room. On our wedding anniversary, you went to the airport to pick her up, lying to me that you were working late. You truly sicken me. Don't show your face again and stain my eyes. Upon hearing me say this, his face turned pale. He stumbled back 2 steps and fell to his knees. I didn't care about his repentance, apologies, or admission of guilt. If he appeared within 30 meters of me, I would have the bodyguards beat him away. Later, Julian learned that the person next to me was just a bodyguard, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief. He sent me flowers every day and wrote me long heartfelt letters. I found it utterly annoying and told my parents directly. Soon after, news came from home that the Julian family had suffered a severe blow. He was also summoned back to the estate because all the videos of his affair with Tiffany during their marriage were exposed. Julian's devoted husband image shattered, and it was even revealed that we hadn't actually registered our marriage. The incident where he pushed me in the hospital, leading to my miscarriage, once again shook the Julian family. Julian had to rush back to clean up the mess. Before he left, Julian came to see me. Grace, I'll wait for you, always. There's no need, Julian. You and I were never on the same path. Fortunately, we have no assets or children, which even saves us the hassle of divorce. I was free. Julian's face was pale as he left, looking back with every step. Seeing him finally go, I breathed a sigh of relief. In the days that followed, I didn't deliberately pay attention to news from home, but busybodies still sent me videos, informing me of Julian's movements. First and foremost was Tiffany, exposed for bullying and hiring someone to commit assault. Even in prison, she could not escape punishment. Julian unleashed all his fury on her. Tiffany suffered greatly in prison, beaten daily, crying out to see her parents, but it was the Smith family who came instead. That's right, Julian had contacted the Smith family. He learned that Tiffany wasn't married, and even though she was in prison, she could still marry after her release. Julian himself wasn't doing much better. The company stocks fell, and it took a great effort to stabilize the situation, but the business was not as good as before. After I finished my studies, I smoothly returned home to inherit the family business. When came to see me, he was blocked outside. When I appeared at the estate again, I saw him standing outside in the rain. Seeing me, Ethan's face was grim. Grace, I'm sorry. It was my fault. I shouldn't have doubted you then. Tiffany tricked me completely. She lied and said you ruined her dress, and that you wanted to kick her out of the house. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? When I first returned, after Tiffany tricked me, I knew this woman wasn't sincerely trying to get along with me, so I tried to keep my distance. From the very beginning, I genuinely wanted to get along with the Taylor family, but Tiffany insisted on sabotaging me. One day she pretended I scalded her, the next she pretended I pushed her down the stairs. Despite the evidence, Ethan wouldn't believe me. As soon as Tiffany cried, Ethan would reprimand me. Even if surveillance proved my innocence, Ethan would only say, Tiffany never used to act like this, she just lacks security. Don't be petty with her. Or, I'll compensate you, Grace. Don't be so aggressive. Can't you see Tiffany's eyes are swollen from crying? Eventually, I gave up hope. When made mistakes, Ethan would apologize on her behalf and buy me various gifts to compensate me, which I accepted everything. Later, when I married Julian, Ethan seemed like a changed man, as if he wanted to make up for 20 years of missed gifts. It wasn't until Tiffany returned that I realized his kindness to me was just hope that I wouldn't make things too difficult for her after she came back. Seeing him like this now, I curled my lips into a smirk. What were you wrong about? Before he could speak, I said, you were wrong to be blind and foolish, mistaking a villain for a sister. Wrong to be brainless, stubbornly insisting on your own way. Wrong to underestimate me. Now you've learned your lesson, solely because you're no longer relevant. Mom and Dad have expelled you from the company. From now on, you'll just get some dividends. An idiot like you, who'd help the seller count the money after being sold, is unqualified to inherit the family business. Ethan's eyes showed disbelief. He found it hard to believe I had seen through him and even exposed him directly. His lips quivering, he was about to speak when I added insult to injury. The reason Mom and Dad didn't punish you more severely is because you're their biological son, but that doesn't mean they'll forgive everything. I'll give you a sum of money annually, but don't expect anything else. Ethan, remember, your indulgence was the beginning of the tragedy. He was just like Julian, disgusting. I threw him out. Julian, however, came to find me. At that time, I had taken over the company and was incredibly busy every day. Julian would block me downstairs, holding flowers and gifts. If I didn't see him, he'd go to my house. After a while, I couldn't stand it anymore and agreed to meet him to clarify things. Julian was excited, tidied himself up, and when he saw me, he took out a ring he had prepared earlier and knelt on one knee. Grace, I'm willing to give all my assets to start over with you. This time, I won't hurt you again. This is something I specifically bought for you, just for you. When I left, I didn't keep any of the jewelry he gave me, and it was the same now. I held up my finger and showed him my ring. Julian, look. Anything I want to buy now, I can afford myself. You're too late. I don't need you. Also, don't expect me to come back to you in the future. When I married you, I was sincere, and I truly loved you. But I don't love you anymore. 9 Julian immediately shouted excitedly, impossible, impossible. Grace, you clearly love me. Yes, you've seen me when I loved you, so you should also know that I truly don't love you anymore. Back then, when I returned to the Taylor family, every time I was bullied, I would cry silently. It was Julian who showed me rare compassion, even though he also stood by Tiffany's side. But it was also he who extended a helping hand to me when I was being bullied. It wasn't surprising that I fell in love with him. He was good-looking and from a good family. At that time, I truly loved him. But I don't love him now. Julian looked at my calm eyes, in which there was not a ripple. He finally believed it. I stood up and left, leaving him there, his eyes welling up. Later, I remarried. Before the wedding, Julian rushed back from out of town, got into a car accident, and was desperate to see me. I ignored him and just held the ceremony. The family contacted me, saying he was desperate, but I still didn't respond, blocking all of them. I just heard that the car Julian was driving was decorated by Tiffany, and the diamonds on the steering wheel had disfigured his entire face. Julian underwent several surgeries, but I never went to see him. After that, I had another child. I saw him once at the baby's first birthday party. He had changed a lot and kept his distance. I didn't go to exchange pleasantries either. When my child was 5, I went to pick him up from preschool. At the preschool entrance, I saw a familiar figure. Before I could even react, she rushed up to me. "Grace, it's all you. You're the one who made my life worse than death." I looked at Tiffany. She had been released from prison long ago, but now she was completely depressed and disheveled, with hollow eyes, emaciated, and the exposed skin on her arms was covered in scars. I knew that after her release, the family took her back. She was married off to an old man more than a decade her senior, and her life was worse than death. She probably never imagined that I would fight my way out of a situation like that. Tiffany was still not ruthless enough, otherwise, she wouldn't be in such a miserable state. But now she had actually escaped. "Tiffany? This is your karma. You're talking nonsense. Why did you come back? I am the eldest daughter of the family. All of this is your fault, isn't it?" She lunged forward, trying to stab me with a knife. My bodyguard quickly pinned her to the ground. Suddenly, a figure rushed forward and shielded me. I raised an eyebrow. "Julian? What new trick are you two trying to pull?" Julian didn't dare to look back, only stating in a deep voice, "I'm sorry, I was afraid she'd hurt you." I couldn't help but laugh. With so many bodyguards around me, how could she possibly hurt me? At that moment, Tiffany was still hysterical. "Wretch. You're a wretch. Madam, should I call the police?" "No need to call the police. Send her back to the family and tell them to keep a close eye on her. Don't let her out again." Only then did Tiffany realize fear and quickly screamed, "Grace, how dare you? How dare you do this? Julian, you love me. You said you'd love only me your whole life. Why did you betray me? Save me, Julian, save me. I don't want to go back." Julian had his back to me and, after a long silence, said, "I only just realized how incredibly wrong I was. I'm sorry. I won't bother you again." I smiled without a word, watching him leave and letting out a long breath. He couldn't possibly think that by rushing over to shield me and taking a hit for me, he could make me forgive everything he'd done, could he? I don't hold grudges. Usually, I settle scores on the spot. Only with Julian did I give him so many chances. Now, I finally wouldn't have to see him again. After that, the company underwent a transformation, and Daniel and I moved our business overseas, rarely returning to the country. I only occasionally heard that Julian's company, due to poor management, eventually went bankrupt. As for Tiffany, after she was sent back, she was forced to have children. Friends told me she had her legs broken and was confined to the house. But none of that concerned me anymore. Everything from the past, I've let go. Those who do wrong must pay the price. With the air breezy, I strolled in a foreign land, pondering the road ahead. No matter how difficult, I would find a way out. Just as before, I had emerged from and I would never give up. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.